Hello everybody, SeKo Starcraft bringing you game 2 between Hasuobs and Heromarine. Very interesting opening game. We had very fast pressure against a command center first. Hasuobs trying to deny the command center and expansion, which worked. Followed up by a proxy starport into mass oracle production. Very good hold out of Heromarine. I've had to do the a lot as Terran against really early Protoss pressure from Stalkers and the Mothership Core. And early Terran units are very fragile. When you have stim out and some upgrades and medevacs, they can be pretty robust. But unupgraded Marines against Stalkers that are faster than them and have shields can be pretty difficult to deal with at times. What we managed to see out of Heromarine was just good patient play, some Widow Mines, and then when the Oracles did come in, he was able to deal with them with his mass marines well enough. I think there's a little bit of fault on Hasuobs there for his control, losing them to Widow Mines and a little bit of bad engagement. We're going to see the barracks first this time. Likewise out of Hasuobs with the gateway first. Doesn't look like either of them are interested in being extra greedy. I was thinking between the two games, could Hasuobs have just thrown down an expansion and transitioned into a normal game? And there were several things that were going against him that would have stopped him from doing that. I don't care about achievements. Come on, computer. That happens when my internet drops for whatever reason. That's okay, I can keep casting. Great, I'm glad I've got achievements now. I was thinking once again why Hasuobs couldn't have expanded. And one of the big problems with it is he would have been expanding towards the Terran that already had medevacs out and marines and mines. There was no detection available. Well, oracles have detection, I suppose I can't say that, but his starport was proxied between the two bases, so the Terran would have likely taken that out as they transitioned into the mid-game. And even though 25 workers were killed by the Protoss, having the two command centers with mules allowed him to stay in the game a lot longer. I thought it was pretty impressive that after taking that much economic damage, and great micro out of Hasuobs to kill off these marines, that it was still possible to be able to deflect that attack. We have the double gases already, so we should see the warp gate research, I'm assuming, pretty fast, unless he's going for another starport. No warp gate just yet. Looks like he wants to get the expansion down. Probably would have been just as clever for Heromarine to get down an engineering bay, if he figured that was going to be the case before he came up the ramp. But you never know that for sure, right? Let's see if he's going to do that now. Maybe even throw down a supply depot, anything. No. Stalker's out, so that wouldn't have done him much good, I suppose. On the Terran side, a handful of Marines at the top of the ramp. Command Center's almost finished as well. So, though he doesn't have Chrono Boost, which is meaning he's down a little bit in workers, the Mule's going to give him that little bit of an edge. And then he's going to have the double Mules here in Command Centers much more quickly. Looks like these units are just trying to scout each other out. Unfortunately, Heromarine kind of loses that battle, but the Mothership Core would have taken it out. It was pretty beat up to start with. Gotta get those bunkers down as a Terran. If you can't wall off or do something else, you need to get something like the bunker down to defend. I almost never see anybody be able to skip that. It's just too vital. Otherwise, your Marines just get picked off one after another. The Stalker is just going to stand out front here, try to deny any SCVs. What you want your opponent to do is, if he wants information, he's going to have to scan. And right now, Heromarine doesn't want to scan. That's about 300 minerals you're going to get. Having the third command center, if it goes into a fast orbital as well, though, then he might be able to get himself a scan out there to see what's going on. Looks like one SCV saw the expansion, so at least he knows it wasn't cancelled. But he has no idea what the tech composition coming at him will be. Robo facilities, throwing out the observer. We'll see how slick Heromarine is, if he's going to be able to pick those off. I've never been able to just spot an observer shimmering and know that it's there and pick it off. I've had good educated guesses. You can generally guess that there's going to be one hovering around the entrance to your base, over your army, over your production, or something like that. But I generally just scan over my army when I'm ready to move out, just because what's most important to the Protoss is understanding when the attack timings are going to be coming from your Terran player. And that, they usually stuff them on the corners of their base to stop people from being able to slip into medevac and kill off half their economy. Now, we don't have the upgrades in any near capacity for the Protoss. The first forge is just going down with this Robo Bay, so he's not going to be able to afford the gas to tech up on both of those, getting Colossus and range and upgrades. The Terran only has the one engineering bay, pumping out upgrades, so it's not going to be too big of a deal if he can get out and start chrono boosting up those upgrades. Scans the main base. This, I mean, you can hide stuff around the edges of this base, but for the most part, you should pick a scan that allows you to at least see towards the edges, either behind the mineral line or towards this side, because if you throw down tech to be sneaky, you're going to throw it down in a sneakier spot than right over your nexus. So completely standard from everybody at this point. Not too worried. Seeing that robo facility probably makes Heromarine feel a little bit more safe. Still has the missile turret in the main base. The natural, you can always pull units usually quick enough to pull down and defend there. And I'm going to have some more beer, because it's good for you, in case anybody ever asks. Yeah. Let's see where his observers are right now, actually. One, scouting for drops. And the second, just pivoting around outside. Is he actually going to start that command center? Surprised the Stalker didn't go and chase it down, but this is a dead end over here. So if he did chase it down, it would eventually die. Sneaky, sneaky. Gets a one more SCV to go for the scout. It's difficult to be able to get off a good scout. If you're lucky, you'll see the lasers of the Colossus slice it apart. That's really what you're hoping to see. There's a probe over here that actually sees this SCV come around. There's nothing's moving out. Yeah, we've got the mothership core moving out to take care of that. One SCV's gonna go hiking. That was spotted. Stimpack is finished, so he would be able to run away and see more if he wished to. Looks like that SCV died. This piece disappear. Does stim to try to get away. You see the Protoss player pulling back his army. He didn't want to reveal that. What's more important to the Terran is seeing if that third base is down. It is not. Whereas the Terran is transitioning to third base. That's a pretty big supply lead too. The difference is the tech right now coming out of the Protoss player. We do have, you know, double medevacs coming out, but there's nothing really to deal with this Colossus right now. We're just staying behind. Why not? Who knows? Full force field energy, so they should be able to cut this up and get away at least at a minimum. If we look at the units tab, let's look at the workers they're at here. Terran's got a big lead on workers. I think just mechanically, Heromarine showing a little bit of an advantage here. I mean, he doesn't have any Vikings out or any mass tech. If we look at the upgrades, we've got +1 weapons and +2 armor already on the way, whereas the Terran is at 0-1. So he's not down a lot right now, because it's only 1-0 for the Protoss. But when these upgrades finish up here, there'll be the small timing for Hasuobs to have an advantage. Is this a bunker? Yeah. Looks like he's using that one Zealot to be a bit of a distraction. If Heromarine has the right control, he could pick off the Colossus. There's just one there, but that's quite risky, particularly when the Storm finished on, what is this, 6 Templars? Doesn't have enough Storm energy on all of them. That's hefty. He's gonna get the probe. He's gonna get the Zealot. He is now all over the place. So the Viking production has started, but it's still off of one starport. Lots of barracks. Great production. I like the lines. I'm a little bit OCD with my buildings. I like nice lines. Does need to get started on his +2 armor for his units if we can. I don't want to call this the junior tech, but this is what I usually play against on ladder, which is I'm going to get 1 or 2 Colossus, a whole bunch of Storms, and then just smother the hell out of people that obviously don't have great micro at the lower leagues. The Storms haven't been the best, but they have pushed the Terran back quite a bit. These Time Warps are going to help quite a bit. This Viking's doing some damage. There's very little Stalker count in this army, so there's not much to really deal with these Vikings. Just keep it alive. Still have that one Observer seeing everything that's going on. It's worthwhile to do this. You might think, well, I can use those 3 units out in the field. But Zealot run-bys are super easy. I don't know if there's a proxy pylon anywhere around here. Doesn't look that way. I do like the missile turret for War Prism drops. I'm surprised you don't see enough War Prism drops coming in and dropping a War Prism full of Zealots and then pulling in a bunch of Zealots, like 5 or 6, can actually disrupt a lot. It'll pull back the Terran army and everything else. Part of the reason I'm considering adventuring into Protoss a little bit more is I think in the late game they just have some really great options for harassment when you have that technology out. It's just understanding how to get that earlier game composition. 3-2 on the way for the Protoss. 2-2 just started up for the Terran. Well, +2 weapons should finish up here momentarily. Hopefully he waits before attacking for that to happen. That's a bit of a whiff. That one hits a bunch of Marauders, which isn't as big of a deal. It's a pretty good concave from the Terran. I do like the Hellbats mixed in here. They'll do a good job against any of the Zealots that are coming in. I mean, the Terran army's getting shredded, but he's almost maxed out behind this. He's just overwhelming with, it looks like, better mechanics. He's just beasting through the Storms, through the Colossus. 1 Colossus does finally go down. 4 Vikings, not a lot. It takes a little bit longer than you would like to get down to Colossus. GG, well played. Super standard game. It just, when you play those games and then you just kind of get, I'm not going to say Hasuobs is whooped, but you just look at the supplies now and the control in this. You say, well, we both played standard. We didn't do anything tricky. How did it turn out with one guy being so further ahead than me at this stage of the game? And it's just great mechanics, great macro, and the ability to pull it off. And Hasuobs is top notch. So that just goes to show how good Mouse was to pick up Heromarine. The guy looks like he's going to be a bit of a force here in the next little bit. Should have some more games I'm going to cast you in the next little while. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll talk to you later.